Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 39. Andrew Eisen here, along with Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, I got to start out by addressing a few room elephants. Number one, during my shave today, I realized that time to replace that razor. So I did, because it cut the hell out of my face. Number two. I misjudged how much meat I was using in my dinner, and it took longer to cook than I expected. So you're going to see me eating throughout the first part of the show, and I do apologize for that. The other thing I'd like to address about that is when you use a lot of tomatoes, the meat turns pink, and it can be very difficult to figure out if it's cooked or not because of the tomatoes colored it pink. And at 6:30, I went in there. I went, well, that looks raw as hell. And I left it in for another 15 minutes. No, that's actually cooked. It's just I used probably too many tomatoes and it just turned the meat pink. So it's tasty though. I make good meatloaf. You know, I should probably go into business for myself because with making meatloaf restaurants, because otherwise I'm depriving the world of my fantabulous loaves of meat. But that's just not something that interests me. So, oh well,
Yeah.
Ungats for you all.
All right.
And I still haven't cut my hair. I did manage it to get it to lay down a little bit, but that's about the best we can hope for at this point. Still no Switch, but
Yeah.
I've
seen both Bomberman and Zelda Breath of the Wild in stores, but I haven't seen the Switch yet.
Yeah, well, I've actually only been to Target. Oh, and I bought all new underwear. You needed to know that. And I bragged on Twitter to all my lady followers that I bought 10 pairs of underwear for under $25. So, neener. Because I know women's can't do that. I know this because I used to work in inventory. Ladies' underthings are super duper expensive. It's not fair. But, yeah. As one of my Twitter followers pointed out, they say, yeah, but our underoos are much more attractive. And I said, yeah, that may be the case, but since I don't wander around without pants, that's not really a pro that matters to me. So.
See, that was always one of those interesting things. Yeah, it's like, what's the only reason to buy fancy underwear is if you want people to see it. So it's like, who are you showing your underwear to? Yeah, but I don't know. I think that was one of those sayings from a movie I watched once, but I don't know. Yeah.
But, I mean, if you're going to do the fancy undies thing, it better be a matching set. Because I will send you home to change into a set that matches. You can't wear a red bra with black underwear. That doesn't match. Pick one. No. Get dressed, go home, and put on a matching set. Look. I match. See? Black shirt, black pants, black belt. See, it all matches. Of course, literally
you just
everything.
Need black eyeliner, black nail polish, black lipstick. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, and you got to grease your hair back. I can't let that.
Well, my hair is brown, but I guess it's a dark color, so that's close enough. I did dye it black once for a play I was in, and dyeing one's hair is a real pain. Yeah. So here's a fun bucket list question. Because now, when you have siblings?
Yes.
How many?
I've got 2 sisters and 4 brothers.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So I grew up with all women, mom and sister, and for some reason, all of her pets tended to be female too. Even the goldfish was female. So because men were born to be pack mules, I would constantly be sent to the store on errands to go get stuff. And a lot of times that
Mhm.
would be food or it might be feminine products. Now, I know a lot of my fellow males are, for whatever reasons, really uncomfortable buying pads or tampons or any other feminine type product.
Mhm.
Me personally, I don't care. Uh, I don't assume that the person checking at the checkout queue really thinks they're for me. And if the person at the checkout queue was like, "Are those tampons for you?" I don't really care if the person thinks that or not. Um, Although I do like to make it awkward and look the checkout person in the eye and clarify, "They're for me." Just to make things really awkward. But my question is,
Yeah.
have you ever been sent to the store to get pads or tampons or something like that, and does that bother you one way or the other? I'm going to
No,
guess that
I
perhaps it did when you were young, but at this point, if the missus sent you to the store, you'd be like, whatever, I have to buy 8 tons of diapers anyway. I don't,
yeah.
what are pads?
No, I never had to go to the store to get anything for my sisters or my mother. That they, I was the middle boy, and my parents would always go to do the shopping, so I never had to worry about that then. Um, it is a little awkward, like when we first got married, picking that stuff up. But nowadays it's just like whatever. Which size? What size and absorption do you need me to get, and I'll get it for you. It's
Oh, that
like
That
okay,
is that is true. If you send me to the store to get pads or makeup or whatever you're sending me, you better send me with a coupon that has a picture of the exact product you want. Because as a male, I will invariably buy the wrong damn thing, and you'll just have to go back and get the right thing.
yeah. Yeah,
So,
nowadays it's like send me a take a picture of the package in the bathroom and send it to me so I make sure I get the right one.
because I'd be in the store with a scrap of packaging or the coupon, going, making sure I get exactly the right thing. Because last thing I want to do is make a trip and go home and like, that's the wrong one, goofball. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Wow, wet whips, huh? That hurt.
You use wet whips, huh? Kinky.
Yeah.
I know you meant wet wipes. Um, so okay. I only played one new video game this week, and I played a game called Ninja Pizza Girl, which is actually
Nice.
something I wrote about back on Game Politics when it did its Kickstarter, and so it was interesting to get to play the game. And it's a little rough in the control.
Uh-huh.
Uh, it's basically a runner game where you're delivering pizza and you just kind of have to jump over gaps, rebound off walls, hit trampolines, slide under uh, pipes and other obstacles. It's actually kind of like a 2D side-scrolling Mirror's Edge.
Mirror's Edge.
It's kind
Yeah.
of like that. It's kind of like 2D side-scrolling parkour to get to the door to which you deliver a pizza, which is a great idea for a game. I think that works very nicely. And for the most part, the controls are on point. The visuals are cute. Where it fails for me, and this may just be how I like to play games, um, kind of like Ghouls and Ghosts, when you
Hmm.
when you jump, you have pretty much committed to a jump. There's no pull back to try and uh, land on the edge and not go sailing past it. You can alter a little bit, but not much, and that wouldn't be so much of a problem for me. Except there are a couple points where you do have to kind of throttle back to hit smaller platforms, and there are trampolines here and there which if you screw up and come to a dead stop, it's really difficult to actually just jump onto a trampoline and keep going because you have to like
Yeah.
back up and get the jump distance exactly correct. You can't just do a short hop onto the trampoline very easily. There's like
Hmm.
only one jump, and I think the game would benefit from um, a variable jump. Yeah, she goes further the longer you hold the button, and a little bit more control while in the air. But other than that, I like the game. I think it's well constructed. I think the stories that it tells are kind of fun. The first story is about a guy who keeps answering the door to pay for his pizza in his underpants, and the horrors that that entails. Uh, One is helping an acrophobic neighbor who lives like way up in the 80th floor, whatever, overcome her fears. Another one is getting two uh, star-crossed lovers together through the power and love of pizza. I mean, so some really fun stories. It's also interesting because it there are like rival pizza ninjas, but they don't really like chuck shurikens at you. They're all like high school teenagers, so they just push her down and call her mean names. And the more she screws up in front of her peers or gets pushed down or gets called mean names, the color kind of desaturates and she gets depressed. So
Hmm.
there's kind of I don't know if the game really leans into this or develops it further in the game. I think it might, having heard interviews with the creators, which is like just a family, parents and a kid, I think. Um, but for what it does nicely, and you can also use the items that you collect throughout the environment to buy pick-me-ups like chocolate or a bubble bath or things to make you feel better. Personally, I'd go for the chocolate, um, dark
Yeah.
chocolate. But there's also a lot of really cool unlockables, like audio interviews with the developers. There's some cheats you can unlock. The classic stuff like big head mode. There's a lot of different costumes for the Ninja Pizza Girl to unlock, which are really cool. So, a lot of really cool little elements to this game. So, if you get a chance, I don't know how much it costs by itself. I got it in a bundle, in one
Mhm.
of the charity bundles. Um, but if you get a chance to take a look at it, I'd recommend a look. Again, I don't know if it's worth. I don't know how much it goes for, so I can't tell you if it's worth its asking price. But uh, it's I think it's fun and worth a look if someone
Okay.
has it or it comes in a bundle or something, at least. So,
Yeah.
Ninja Pizza Girl turned out pretty cool.
Nice. Man, for me, just gaming stories this week. Pokemon Go. I'm still playing that. I'm slowly grinding my way through the Pokédex. I have just a handful of Gen 1 Pokemon left to get. Most of them are in that would hatch from 10-kilometer eggs. And then
Mm.
I've got a little over half of Gen 2 still left to unlock. But one of the things that I wanted to mention today is that GPS spoofers are driving me nuts. This is one of the biggest problems in the game right now is that people will use GPS spoofers and purchased accounts to just travel the world and take over gyms. It's like they buy like 20 different accounts with like 50 Dragonites, the strongest Pokemon in the game, and then they'll use these accounts with GPS spoofers to go and destroy all the gyms, and then they put their Pokemon in there, and then they fill the gym with Dragonites and Vaporeons and Snorlaxes and stuff so that people can't easily knock them out of the gym. And then they gather up all the coins. Well, today, my family, we went to one zoo up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was raining, so there was hardly anybody there. And there was 4 gyms in the zoo, and each of them were only like a level 2 or a level 3 gym, so they were very easy to take over. So we took them all over and put our Pokemon in there, thinking, oh, it's closing time. Everybody's going home. There's not going to be anybody in here until tomorrow, so we might actually be able to get extra coins tomorrow when our Pokemon have been in there for 20 hours. Well, I checked as soon as I got home, and every single one of my Pokemon were knocked out of the gyms. And it's like, the zoo was closed. Nobody was allowed in there, unless you're telling me that employees of the zoo just went around and knocked everybody out. But this
Probably
happens.
a nighttime janitor on his cell phone. Push broom in one hand, phone on the other.
Probably because it could be something like that, because the zoo was just packed with Pokestops as well. You could walk, you couldn't walk 50 feet without seeing a Pokestop within range, and but it's happened all the time. Like we'll go to some poke or some gym in just some location where there's no one around. Okay, this is a secluded gym, and we can look around and we can see for half a mile and there's nobody anywhere near, and somebody's battling in the gym. Or we put a Pokemon in there and then all of a sudden somebody's fighting the gym we just put a Pokemon in, and we're getting kicked out. It's GPS spoofers are driving me nuts.
I didn't read the article, but I did see a headline somewhere that said Niantic admits they need to work on the gyms a little bit. So
yeah, well, the gyms aren't so bad, but it's just the problem is with the GPS spoofers and people who have 50 accounts that they use. But other than that, I don't spend a whole lot of time in gyms, but just if I see a gym that I'm on Team Instinct, so if I see a gym that has a space in it that I can put a Pokemon in, I'll put a Pokemon in. Or if I'm with my son and we see a gym that's like a level 2 or 3, we'll go and battle it down and put our Pokemon in. But other than that, we just hunt for Pokemon. But the other really frustrating thing is that parks and places like zoos or state capitals or whatever, these things are what's called Pokemon nests. So a certain type of Pokemon will spawn there more frequently for 2 weeks. And then after that, they'll change to a different Pokemon. And I don't know how they have set up this automated system, but they need to make an update to this that checks what normally spawns in an area and not make nests of that Pokemon. Because there's a Gen 2 Pokemon called a Spinarak. It's a little green spider, and it is everywhere. It's almost as bad as Pidgeys and Rattatas in this game. And it spawns everywhere in my region. It's not it's not like this everywhere. Like if you go to Texas, you're not going to see Spinaraks as often. But in my town, Spinaraks are everywhere. Well, they made one of the nests a Spinarak nest, and it's like, and the zoo today was a Caterpie nest, and it's like, why are you making worthless Pokemon nests? Nobody wants these things. So yeah, so they're really frustrating. But other than that, they do make some really good nests. Like last month, we've had 4 really good nests that I was happy to see. But every once in a while, they do something really stupid and crappy, and I hate them.
I'm just waiting for Bidoof to show up.
Yeah.
But that's not till Gen 3 or 4 or something, I don't think.
Yeah.
What actually, hello MSD and hello Git. I've gone on walks with my sister while she was playing Pokemon Go and ignoring me. What kind of surprised me is how well I know Gen 1 Pokemon. I was really shocked. I don't play Pokemon except Pokemon Snap because it's awesome. But I've never been into the traditional Pokemon games. But man, I just have Gen 1 kind of in there.
Well,
Gen
yeah.
2, I was
Pokemon Snap
like,
was all in one,
yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Gen 2, I'm kind of like, I recognize half of them maybe. And
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't. I have no clue anything past Gen 1. I watched the anime series for
there is only
way back
Bidoof
when,
past Generation 1.
and I didn't watch that past the Gen 1 region, Kanto region, and so I haven't watched any of the Pokemon shows after that. But I watched the original series, and that's so that's where my knowledge of Pokemon came from.
You know, the theme song is great.
Yeah.
Hey Dave, it, I don't like the show, and it's for a very petty reason. Brock, open your damn eyes. You're not blind. The only reason an animated character gets to keep his or her eyes closed is if you're blind. If you're not blind, open your damned eyes. It really bothers me. But the theme song is great. I want to be the very best. Like, no, I have Pokemon. Yeah, it's such a great song.
Yeah.
It's way too high for me to sing, but
Yeah.
I have to drop the octave like twice while trying to sing that song. It's terrible.
Yeah,
But
I do that every now and then too. It's like I'll want to sing a song and it's like I can't sing that high, and so yeah, I try to drop the octave down, and then I end up screwing up the tempo, and it's like whatever, I'm done singing.
Dave is saying in the chat that he said something less than fawning about Nintendo, something mildly critical, and now a bunch of Nintendo fans are jumping down his throat because you're critical of Nintendo. You're a fake Nintendo fanboy. And I
Nice.
actually got a bit of that in the last week because I did that series of the Switch launch countdown where I looked back
Yeah.
at my feelings towards the various Nintendo launches over the years. And the way I sum it up is I'm not a Switch fanboy, but I am a Nintendo fanboy. But for some people, if you don't love literally every single piece of hardware that Nintendo releases, every game it releases, every decision it makes, then you're not a true fan. And I'm like,
Yeah. It's like you're only a true fan if you play the Virtual Boy every day and for long enough until your eyes bleed. It's like
that's
you
all right.
have to play it until your eyes bleed every day, or you're
Bleed
not
for
a true
Nintendo.
Nintendo fan.
But I just find that that idea really, really weird. I'm like, do you really love every single game that Nintendo's come out with? Like, even Wii Music? I mean, really? I mean, it's okay if there's Nintendo makes a ton of
These
different franchises. It's okay if you just don't dig Mario Party, you know?
yeah, see, a true Nintendo fan cries in their pillow at night that they never got the Wii pulse detector thing, whatever it was called.
Oh, the
Yeah,
pulse detecting Clippy thing.
yeah.
What
The
was it
true
called?
Nintendo fans cry at night because they never got that. Yeah,
That had a name, and I forget.
yeah, I
Man.
forget what it was called too.
Still waiting on the quality of life initiative that Nintendo had talked about years back.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, what was that called? Because I made a really dirty joke. Vitality sensor. Thank you, Dave.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Vitality sensor. And
The
I made a
conduit, yeah.
yeah, I made a crude joke about the vitality sensor years back.
And putting it on your penis.
Yeah, I'm like, because everyone's gonna do that. Well, half the gamers are gonna do that. Vitality scores through the roof. Okay, well, while we're on the subject, let's talk Nintendo Switch, and we talked a little bit about this last week. Last week we touched on a few issues that I think it was last week. Touched on a few issues that the Nintendo Switch has. primarily the left one having some desyncing problems. And what was the other thing we discussed? Oh, the
The
stickers,
screen, yeah, the decals,
the decals
tearing up the
tearing
finish.
off the finish and paint job. So in the last week, there have been a lot of different hardware issues. I mean, stuff beyond the stand sucks. You know, stuff beyond weird design decisions like you can't move save data off the Switch, which might be real problematic here in a second. And I'll explain why. So, in addition to desyncing Joy Cons, there's some units have dead pixels, which can be a problem with those type of screens in other devices.
Yeah.
But I went to Nintendo's support site, and there's actually an entry for this. It says. For the entry, it says there are black or bright dots on the Nintendo Switch screen that do not go away, or there are darker light patches on the screen. And Nintendo's response to this, and I love it. Small numbers of stuck or dead pixels are characteristic of LCD screens. This is true. That is something that happens. It goes on to say, these are normal and should not be considered a defect. No, it is normal for LCD screens. That is normal. That does happen, but that is a defect. It's not supposed to be that way.
Yeah, you shouldn't open you shouldn't open your brand new $300 electronic gizmo and have dead pixels right out of the box. Sure, after 6 months of using it or a year or whatever, yeah, those things are going to form. I've got my TV in my living room has about half a dozen dead pixels, and it drives me nuts, but I've gotten used to them. But the thing is, they didn't show up until like 3 years after we bought the thing. So yes, they happen, but they shouldn't come right out of the box. If you bought a 4K TV and brought it home and there were half a dozen dead pixels on there, you would be marching back to the store with that thing and getting it exchanged, because there's no reason that a brand new electronic should have that. But,
yeah. So that was there. So Nintendo's been addressing a few of the issues on its support site, and their responses are a little weird. So this one's like, that's normal. Don't consider this defect a defect. Shut up, leave us alone. And last week, the other thing was for the Joy-Con, in which their advice was turn off everything in your house, including the microwave.
I'm surprised they didn't go as far as say turn off your TV if it's just
undock it.
If your TV's a Wi-Fi enabled TV, you can't use it with it. I'm like, seriously, their advice was basically don't put it anywhere near your entertainment center. And it's like
own nothing but a
Switch and a TV. It's like, you want seriously, Nintendo? But yeah, that was ridiculous, and I thought I couldn't believe that they actually that was their advice on that issue.
Yeah,
because man, was that terrible advice.
Yeah, yes, Jordan. True Nintendo fans like myself are still waiting on bated breath for the N64 DD.
Yeah. But another issue that has come up is that the dock is scratching. Yep. Like if you don't put it if you don't actually hover over it and make sure you put it in just right, you're going to scratch your screen. And there's a lot of people who are putting like foam on there, like they'll put little foam strips in there so that it pushes the Switch away from the front of the dock so that it doesn't get scratched. That's like, why didn't Nintendo put that in there to begin with?
I'm wondering, is it a bad mold for the dock? Did it get the dock kind of get crushed in shipping and is bent in on itself a little bit too far and is
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
It reminds me of the disc scratching issue that 360s used to have. And then Microsoft had to put the little bumpers on the disk drive to make sure that when the system is in upright position, that it doesn't, the discs don't wobble in there. Yeah, that was a big problem, and that ticked a lot of people off. And
so we've got the desyncing Joy-Con problem. We've got dead pixels. We've got the dock scratching the screen. But that's not all. There's also a whole host of display issues. We've seen a blue screen of death. We've seen an orange screen of death. I've seen
I wonder
videos
if
of
these
people's
colors
switches
are
flickering.
yeah, I wonder if the colors are specific to certain error codes that we're not privy to.
Yeah,
So
well,
it's like if you call tech support, it's like, okay, what color did the screen turn to? Okay, let me check that in my database.
yeah, well, unlike the Windows blue screen of death, this is just solid blue color or solid orange color. It has no text on it. I've seen units with flickering problems, with vertical bar static, all kinds of weird display issues. I've seen problems with game lockups and crashes, a lot of times accompanied by really weird, loud, high-pitched, whining, buzzy noises. I've seen non-responsive OS, not recognizing when you're tapping on the touch screen. I've seen a video of someone trying to move the brightness slider, and the slider moves, but the brightness isn't responding. I've seen things with cartridge slot issues where the unit is not actually recognizing that there's a game in the cartridge slot.
I have a DS that has a hard time reading carts, and it's a frustrating issue.
Yeah, we talked about the skins ruining the finish, and also apparently the straps that slide onto the Joy-Con rail to give it a little bit of extra bulk on the top and have a wrist strap. Some of them are getting stuck. And I've seen some video tutorials. It's like, all right, pull the release latch, and then jam a screwdriver in here and pry it off. So I've seen a few people like bend their nails backwards trying to get the strap rail off of the Joy-Con.
Man.
What I find most interesting about this, now I've spoken to a few different people I know who work at game retailers and department stores that have electronic sections that sell the Switch, and so far I haven't heard of any of the people I've personally talked to. I haven't heard of any Switch returns or any big hardware problems. So it's difficult to say how widespread these issues are. What I will say, however, is this is by far the largest variety of different issues I have seen with a single piece of hardware on its launch.
Yeah.
I mean, the 360 had the red ring. Pretty much if you had a problem with the 360, it was the red ring of death. Yeah. I don't know personally a single 360 owner who didn't have to replace the damn thing at least once. But it was usually almost always, except for the disc scratching thing, it was like one problem. It was the red ring of death. With the Switch, holy biscuits, it may not be widespread. It may just be really isolated. And Nintendo, there is a statement from Nintendo, and I'll read it here in a bit. But man, there are a lot of different possible issues with the hardware, and that's what I'm finding really fascinating, is how many different issues there are to be with the Switch.
And so you've got these hardware flaws, and then you've got just pure design flaws. And one of the things that I've noticed is that you cannot charge the system and play it outside the dock. You can't. It is sitting on. You can't set it on the table and play and charge it at the same time, because the charge port is on the part of the Switch that touches the table. And so I've seen some little life hacks, I guess, where it's like they dock it like right on the edge of a book, and then they put some like 3D printed stand on there or something, and it's just like lots of weird things. It's like my son, he does he does Lego stop motion videos, and so he built a Lego stand for his tablet so he could take pictures while he's doing his stop motion videos. And I just picture myself, just building a quick Lego stand, a little quick stand out of Lego so that I could actually set my Switch down and play on it. It's like, something like that. It's like you have to come up with these awkward solutions so that you can charge your system while playing it.
It is a really odd choice because when your Switch is in tabletop mode, sitting on the table, you can't get at the charge plug underneath.
Yeah, you can get to the headphone jack, which is on the opposite
which is
side.
on top, right? Now it makes sense that the charging thing is on the bottom because that's the way the sucker slots into the dock.
Yeah.
But the Wii U can charge on the bottom, but it also has a charge plug on the top. So I can dock this in my little charging cradle and it sits there in charge. Or if I'm sitting here playing Nintendo and the little orange light starts flashing at me, I just plug it into the top here and continue playing. Maybe there just was no way not enough room to put an extra one on the top of the Switch. I don't know. But that is a frustration for many, I am sure.
Yeah, I think one of the first accessories, I could probably think of a couple of accessories that will come from third parties like Nyko. So the first one will be an actual charging dock where you can actually, set it down in this dock and charge it like you would with your Wii U gamepad. And, of course, Nintendo has a proprietary video output, so they wouldn't be able to have it display on your TV, but you could at least set it in this dock and charge your system. And the other thing that I could picture a company like Nyko doing is that, the wrist strap rails that you put on your Joy-Cons, them developing something for that also has a battery in there that it extends the life of the Joy-Con. Yeah, I could picture something like that coming out.
Blackstrass, isn't this only limited to wanting to use this in tabletop mode? You can still plug in the USB-C charger if you're using it handheld to charge it. That is correct.
Yeah.
You can, if you're holding it, plug it into the bottom, and then you have a cord trailing off the bottom, which I always find annoying, but you can do that. It reminds me of the first Pro controller they made for the Wii, where the plug came off the bottom instead of the back of the controller.
I have
every other controller in existence.
The Dreamcast controller was like that too.
Oh, was it?
The plug came out of the bottom. Yeah. I've got a Dreamcast controller right here. If I can untangle it from everything.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But it's the Dreamcast controller because it's got the memory card slots up here on the top. But this is a really dumb design decision, but I can understand why Sega went with that because of the memory card slots. But yeah, it's still a dumb design decision.
So, all right, let me find. Let's see. So, Time actually spoke with Reggie Fils-Aimé, and he said, we've seen all the inquiries, and we're looking into it. We're asking questions, and we're just gathering feedback, trying to figure out why this may be happening, because we've been demoing this sucker for 2.5 months, and we haven't had any of these problems. When asked about the docks scratching the tablet screen, he says, as soon as I heard of this report, I asked my teams, have we seen this in our own experience? And the candid answer has been no. The official statement reads, at Nintendo, we take great pride in creating quality products, and we want our customers to have a positive experience. It is common with any new innovative consumer technology for consumers to have questions. I love the way they phrase it. It's common for consumers to have questions, not problems, questions. And Nintendo Switch is no exception. There are no widespread technical problems, and all issues are being handled promptly, including the reports regarding the left Joy-Con Bluetooth connection. To best support our customers, we continuously update the online consumer support site and provide real-time answers to the questions we're receiving. And I want to point out again that last I looked, their support site says turn off your microwave. We want our consumers to get up and running quickly to have fun with Nintendo Switch, and if anything falls short of this goal, we encourage them to contact Nintendo's customer service team for help with any hardware, software questions. Please visit support.nintendo.com. So that is that. Whoops. Seraph, that's a no-no. That's a no-no. So it's going to be interesting to see how wide. Now, Nintendo's saying these are isolated incidences. It's not widespread. Of course, it is. And I certainly don't begrudge it doing that. But it's going to be interesting in the coming weeks and months to see just how widespread these myriad issues are. Hopefully, it's just a lot of people who have cameras and YouTube accounts that are just getting drawing the short end of the stick in their hardware purchases.
Our most visible customers are the only ones having problems. Those that don't have YouTube channels are doing just fine.
It only happens if you can complain about it. If you have an audience to complain to, that's the only time it happens. When I bought the N64, like the first or second day I had it, the image went like pea soup green. It just developed a green tint to it, so something about the color output just completely botched, and I had to send that sucker in. But to Nintendo's credit, I got the sucker back like within a week, and it worked just fine. Of course, back in those days, the save was on the memory card, so it didn't. If you have 70 hours in Zelda Switch, it's saved on the console itself. So if your console bricked and you have to send it in and they send you a new one, I hope Nintendo has a way to get that save onto the new Switch, because man, that would suck to be out however many hours you just plugged into Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, definitely.
Say rough, keep it a little cleaner, please. Get says, well, like everything, it is more fun to complain than to praise. Well, of course it is. I mean, I did a series a while back called Picking Nits, in which I would take really fun things and focus on all the small niggling little details that I didn't like that were ultimately inconsequential. But Blue Screen of Death, of course, is not a trivial thing to complain about. I can't play my game that I just spent $300 on the hardware and $60 on the software in order to play. That is certainly something worth complaining about. But we will see what happens. So, moving on from this topic. Okay, so actually, this transition, I should have thought of a good transition, but I don't have one. If your Switch breaks, however, your only recourse is to perhaps send it into Nintendo to fix. But what if you could just send it to like a local unlicensed repair shop? Zachary, you saw a story on this this week. What is this all about?
All right. Well, in various states around the U.S., there's several lawmakers are introducing bills that they're basically right to repair bills, where owners of consumer electronics have the right to repair their own electronics or hire someone to repair them. So instead of, if your Switch breaks, instead of having to ship it all the way back to Nintendo, you could just take it to the repair shop around the corner. And what these bills do is they require electronics companies to make available part listings and also make available listings of of suitable replacement parts, so that and all this in order to and be able to keep the warranty intact. So if you've got your 1-year warranty with Nintendo, or however long the warranty is, getting it repaired from someone who actually buys recommended parts and repairs them using recommended techniques, you're not going to lose your warranty. Well, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, and other various companies like Apple are really, really against these bills. I've seen the story on a couple of different sites, and I got the one for Kotaku up. But so they talk about how these things are impacting various consumers. Let me see. I'm trying to find a good quote here. It says the games industry doesn't think these bills are necessary. In fact, a representative for the Entertainment Software Association told me that information and tools that would be disseminated thanks to these right to repair bills would cause problems. Specifically, they said the information would help sidestep consoles' digital protection assets and invite unethical individuals to break the law and encourage widespread theft of video games and proprietary information. Lobbying against the right to repair bill, the games industry is working to make their own repair services indispensable and uncontested, the sort of capitalist future that Apple is already affecting. So basically they're raising all the same fears about piracy and all of that stuff, because they want to be able to charge you $100 to repair your Switch when the guy down the street could fix it for 50. They don't want you to save money. They want you to lose out and have to waste your time and money getting things fixed when it shouldn't be that way. Do you have something?
Well, it's to me, it's like I think back to the '90s, and it's like how many when we actually had cable boxes. I'm thinking how many cable box repair peoples actually hooked you up with free HBO. That was always the urban legend that if you slipped them a $5 or a 10 spot or something like that, they'd hook you up with free HBO or the Playboy channel or whatever. I wonder if that actually ever a thing. I'm sure someone did that at some point, but
I think way back when, I think
like that would be.
Yeah, I think way back when it was a lot easier, because the cable box would actually send the signal back that says that yes, you have the channel. Nowadays, everything's digital and on servers, and so they can ping your account and say, "Oh, this person doesn't have HBO, so disable that on their cable box." But way back when, I think it was a little easier because things were a little more analog. So,
but
man.
I have to wonder is how serious is the concern that a third party console repair shop would start modding consoles to play downloaded games or something like that?
I think there is a little bit of a concern, because
Sure.
some of the ways to bypass digital protections is hardware based. Like some of the earlier PSPs were hardware hacks in order to open up the system for installation of third party games and apps, and this could happen with these. I remember the Super Nintendo and Nintendo, their region locking was hardware based, and some of it was really stupid. Like the Super Nintendo just had these tabs that prevented PAL cartridges from going into into American cartridges, and so, or NTSC, I think is the right acronym. And so you just snap the tabs off, and then you could play PAL games.
Mhm.
I think, and then the NES had a crossed circuit on the connector for in the cartridge that determined whether it was PAL or NTSC, and you just had to solder the connection correctly in order to play PAL games in the U.S. And so yeah, you've got these hardware based restrictions, and so yeah, they are concerned about it, but really, um, being able to fix your own stuff shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Yeah. I think they could, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo could mitigate that concern simply by improving their service, which is how you mitigate pretty much all piracy, is improve your service. If
Yeah.
in order to, for example, my Wii busted within the last year, and I had to send it to Redmond to have it fixed. Um, it would have been nice if
Hmm.
there were a local Nintendo repair shop that I could go to and pay $30 to fix my old console, because it sucks, spending 70, 80, $90 or whatever it is to fix a console that you can buy for $100 now.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so I think if Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft partnered with Best Buy or whatever local retailers and gave them the tools they needed to fix stuff locally, and that way Nintendo could control what they're doing, but officially licensing them. I think
Yeah,
most gamers would probably just take
they
their
would appreciate
console
that.
down to
Yeah.
Best Buy, drop 20-30 bucks to get their thing repaired, not have it take 6 to 8 weeks or how
Yeah.
as long as it can take at some points. So yeah, if you're concerned about piracy, which you will never ever get rid of completely, better service seems to always be the
Yeah.
best solution, rather than trying to uh, make it impossible for your customers to get their stuff done. So,
Yeah, definitely.
moving on, Nintendo has won a case against a flash cart maker. Uh, and once again, this is based on the anti-circumvention law stuff. And again, we're afraid that the flash carts are going to be used as
Yeah.
piracy, so we sue you, and we get, let's see, what was it in American dollars? This was a Canadian company, but American dollars, 9.5 million. So,
Yeah. Canadian 12.76 million.
yeah,
But we all know Canadian money sucks, so we don't
it is
ever.
colorful.
Yeah.
I've got like a $10 bill, and it's
Come on, they
blue.
still have this Queen of England on their currency.
Do they? Oh, I don't have my wallet in my pocket. I would have showed you a Canadian 10. It's blue and it's got this like translucent piece in the center. It's really neat.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They've adopted a lot of similar anti counterfeiting elements that are used in European nations. So and makes really cool looking money. Yeah, I'm serious. Some of the stuff's really cool, but yeah. But yeah, they so this company was called Go Cyber Shopping, and run by a guy named Jeremy King, and yeah, Nintendo accused him of violating copyright laws because the flash carts he developed and sold violated Canada's Copyright Act's anti-circumvention law, very similar to the
Yeah.
DMCA's anti-circumvention law.
So this was
Um,
the first case that was trying that law in this way, right?
I believe so. I haven't heard of any other cases that have used that law, and I believe it's fairly new. Canada didn't have one for a while, and that was one of the reasons why Canada always made it on to U.S. trade, USTR. I forget what the R stands for. Their 301 list of countries that don't kowtow to major entertainment companies' anti-piracy demands, and Canada's still on the list, even though some of their laws are actually more strict than the U.S.'s laws, copyright laws. But yeah. But apparently King is probably not going to be able to pay that because I don't think his flashcards even made anywhere near that amount of money.
Yeah.
So there's absolutely no way Nintendo's getting even $1 million out of this guy. He's going to go bankrupt next week probably, and Nintendo's not going to get anything out of him. All they did was shut down one flashcard developer out of 1,000, or however many flashcard developers there are.
Yeah. So seems kind of pointless, but okay. Well, now we know that this kind of stuff is going to work in Canada. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm always really iffy about attacking tools that have legitimate uses, but can also be used uh, to do
for
something
piracy.
illegal
Yeah,
for piracy. You know.
yeah, and it's like, can you imagine what the world would be like today if the DMCA's anti-circumvention clause existed in the 70s, and broadcasters could have actually claimed that the VCR was what violated that clause because they could put in some kind of signal into their broadcast that said you're not supposed to record this, and if you recorded it anyways, that would be violating it because or violating the DMCA because you're circumventing that anti-recording signal.
Yeah.
Even though it's just as simple as ignoring it.
Yeah, Laxter points out that, to be fair, most flashcards are marketed for piracy, and if that's what it's being sold as, if that's actually the driving point behind the product, then yeah, I'm totally fine with the law being used to take that down. Um, like the idea of torrenting in and of itself, not a bad thing, but come on, when your site is actually called the Pirate Bay, that's what you're doing. So, I don't know how King's flashcards were being marketed.
Yeah,
This is
I
the
don't
first
know.
I'm hearing about it. So,
Yeah, I don't know a lot about the case, and Gamma Sutra didn't post a link to the ruling or any other um, useful information. I haven't had the chance to actually go out and look at what Nintendo's arguments were, what King's defense was, and what the final ruling actually said. But
yeah.
uh,
So, all right, last topic for tonight. We return to Valve, who has updated their Steam user review policy, which reads in part, with the changes we are making now, the review score will no longer include reviews by users that receive the game for free, such as via a gift or during a free weekend. Reviews can still be written by customers that obtained the game in any of these ways, but the review will not count towards the overall score. And reportedly, they're recalculating a lot of game scores now. Now, of course, that does not apply to free-to-play games. You can
yeah,
review those all you like, but if the game costs money, but you got it free via a free weekend or a gift, you can review it, but your review does not count towards the total score. Now, I've said in the past that I've never really gotten or personally understood why anyone would care how I came across a copy of a game I reviewed, because you see a lot of reviewers will spell out at the top or bottom of their review, obtained by publisher or bought it myself or rented it from Blockbuster or whatever. I see that and I personally go, I don't care. As long as you didn't steal it, as long as you didn't hold someone at gunpoint and take it from them, I don't care if you paid for it or got it for free, or I don't
Yeah.
care. I just want to know what your thoughts on the game are. But that's me. I know a lot of people really do care, and
Yeah.
apparently Steam thinks so too. Because if you got it for free, then your review shouldn't count. I guess if you didn't pay for the product like everyone else, and you're biased in a way that affects your review such that it shouldn't be aggregated with everyone else.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah. And
was someone complaining about this before? I'm sure they were.
yeah.
Someone must have been.
Yeah. Somebody must have been, and I'm sure there are there are some. I don't know if there's actual official studies, but there's anecdotal data that suggests that people who got a game for free um, do not do not look at the game the same way as somebody who actually paid for it. If you paid for it, you might be a little more positive in your review than if you got it for free. And so yeah,
I mean,
we could have a lot of people
I
that,
can see arguments going either way for that. Like if you got it for
yeah,
free, then you're more likely to be positive because you want more free stuff in the future. On the other hand, if you
yeah,
paid for it, you might be more positive just to make sure you got the most bang for your buck. I so
yeah. Yeah, and I could also see another argument here is that, say your game does have a free weekend,
mm,
and the game is made available for free. You could have a lot of accounts being created by review spammers who free and then spam your game with negative reviews, because Steam was allowing you, if you got the game through Steam, your review counted. Because a few months back they made the change where if you got your code from a third party, let's say like the Humble Bundle or
mm.
from the developer themselves, your review no longer counted. And so now
Yeah, Matthew pointed that out in the chat a bit ago. I
yeah,
actually didn't know that because
yeah, that was
I don't
a
use
few
Steam
months
review
back.
stores at all.
I don't either, and I kind of felt bad because a developer that I know here in Oklahoma gave me a key so that I could play his game and review it, and then like a week after he gave me the key, that policy, and I was like, well, so much for reviewing the game. I still want,
Yeah.
I've written about it before, and I still want to play it and write up a really good official review, at least on my site, but there's no point in me putting a review on Steam anymore for that game. Um, and it's happened with a few other games too. It's like, I really want to review these, and but it's just like my review's not going to do you any good. So basically, I think from now on, if somebody wants me to review their game, they need to give me a gift card equal in value to how much the game costs, so that I can actually buy the game. Um, which would be nice for me too, because then my Steam account would actually exist, and I could make friends on Steam, because I still haven't spent $5, and so I can't friend people anymore.
No, that's right. Wow. Yeah, I
I
like you.
have
I
I have
probably have not actually spent more than $5
uh,
through the Steam store specifically. Almost
I,
everything
I've
I
spent
have is
I've spent
from
50
codes
cents.
and stuff.
Yeah, I've spent 50 cents. I have well over 50 games, and I've spent probably a total of like 200 hours on various games. But my Steam account does not exist in the eyes of Valve because I've only spent 50 cents.
Yeah. Let me see if game list. How many games do I have? Does it total somewhere?
Yeah, you
I think
should
it
like
should.
your Steam program should give
It's a
you a.
lot. I don't see a total anywhere though. Games list. I'm looking at the list, but I don't see a number anywhere. Oh well,
Um,
it's a lot.
click on your operating system up at the top. So like right under library, there's search, and then mine says Steam
Oh,
OS
yeah, yeah,
plus
okay.
Linux.
227.
Yeah, I have 209 games, and pretty much all of these are Humble Bundle games.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, and
so
various charity bundles and stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
that thing. Yeah, hover over library. Thank you, Matthew. Um, got it. So 200. What did I say? 227.
yeah,
And one VR. What the hell is that? What VR game did? Oh, Subnautica apparently is a VR game. Okay,
yeah.
can't play that because I have no VR. But that's all right.
I actually have software. There's a software section, and it's it's Spriter. It's an animation tool. Really, I really like it, but I don't use it because all the animations I do for my games don't need anything that don't require complicated animations enough to use a tool like that. Um, but actually, some of the bosses would probably work out pretty well using that, and it can export as sprite sheets. So I might consider that for boss monsters, especially those giant boss monsters that I want to make.
Yeah, Matthew's saying, "What the heck? I mainly play PC games, and I only have 142. Why does Andrew, a dedicated console gamer, have 227 PC games?" Um,
It's the humble bundle, man. The humble bundle.
it's charity bundles, and I also end up getting a fair amount of free stuff from various people.
Man, I so wanted to do that recent ACLU bundle,
Oh, the
where the
Freedom
$30
Bundle?
to
Yeah,
yeah,
I did that
thirty
one.
dollars to get all those games.
Some
I
amazing
wanted to
stuff in
do
there.
that, but it's
That's
like I
that's
did
actually
I
where I got Ninja Pizza Girl from.
yeah, because man, there I wanted
Stardew Valley, yeah.
Valley so bad, and then there was
The
another game
Witness
in
is in there
there.
too.
Yeah, the Witness was another one. It's like those two games themselves
Witness
more
is 40
than
bucks
paid
by
for
itself.
more than paid for the bundle,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's a lot of good games in there. Some of them I already had, but I'm not too worried about those. But man, I so wanted Stardew Valley, but. Uh, yeah. Why does everyone have more games than you? Because we're thrifty.
Yeah. Also, I'm fortunate enough to know a bunch of people in the industry, so I do occasionally get sent free games. I also know where to look. Where IGN constantly has a free game code. I'm like, all right, I'll never play this, but add it to the library. One of my viewers bought me Half Genie Hero, the new Shantae game for Christmas, so got that for free. I mentioned last week that I did a voice in Shapes of Gray, I think it's called. So the
Yeah,
developer gave me a code for that. Also gave me a code for the Wii U version, so I have it both on the Wii U and PC. And oh
nice.
man, is it a lot easier for me to play on a regular controller because it's a dual stick thing, and I am
Yeah,
so junk at using WASD or the arrows and the mouse to do dual stick shooter type of stuff. But put me on a controller with dual analog joysticks. I'm like, okay, I can actually beat the game now. Now I can
just
actually
get you
get
a
past
corded
level 20
Xbox
or whatever.
360 controller for $20, and you should be able to play most games
Yeah.
that allow for controllers. But,
Yeah, MSD, you can add me on Steam if you like, if you can find me. I have no idea what my username is. It's probably just my name, Andrew Eisen. But
yeah. If I had spent $5, you could add me too. But since I've only spent 50 cents, I can't add friends. Sorry.
mm,
But if one of these days I actually do spend $5, it's Sir underscore Easy Night. So that's my Steam name.
all right. Well, Matthew says that Switch development kits are $500.
Yeah,
Well,
but they're
that's
not. They have a slightly more rigorous approval process than they did with the Wii U. So
hmm.
you're not just going to be able to fill out a form, pay $500, and get a dev kit. You will have to be
Didn't
pre-approved
they
before.
have some weird thing last generation where they required you to have a business address which a
That
lot
was
of
the
independent developer, or was that the Wii?
that was the Wii. With the Wii U, they got rid of that,
Yeah.
and all you had to do was have a secured location wherever you develop games. So no, the letter E and the letter Z. So my initials.
Easy Night.
Yeah.
EASY. Easy Night.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, $500. I don't know what development kits normally cost, so I have no
It's
opinion.
like $10,000 was
Well,
I
then
believe
500 seems
Microsoft
good
one.
as long as whatever the approval process is doesn't make it outright impossible to get one. But we've been seeing a lot of uh, indie support, and indies have been predominantly raving about the Switch, so that
Yeah.
sounds positive. Um, oh, you found me? Great. Keep in mind, I don't have notifications on, so I will never see you, and I don't
Yeah.
bother with friend stuff, so I don't know what
Yeah.
adding me as a friend actually does, but go for it if you like. Same thing with Miiverse and the PlayStation and my Nintendo Network account. I'm pretty sure is just my name. Same thing with my PlayStation account. You can add me as a friend. I don't think that's going to do any good, but knock yourself out. It's fine. Because the first thing I
Yeah.
did when I set up my PS4 was I turned off notifications for everything,
Hey, I just
which
got
took
your MSD. I just got your friend request. So
okay,
or
which
friend ad or whatever.
yeah, which took me a while because there's like 6 pages of who can view your photos. I'm like, no one. Who can view your videos? No. Who can view you through the PlayStation Eye? I'm like, no. And it's 6 pages of that. I'm like, why isn't there a just turn all of this off? Probably for the same reason you can't turn off the stupid light bar on the front of
Yeah.
these.
Oh yeah, that drives me nuts.
You
I have
you
a
can dim
third
it
party.
enough, but
Yeah, I have third party PlayStation 3 controllers, and they have that internal glow. They're clear controllers, and then they have LEDs that make them glow blue. And my kids like to turn those on, and I'm like, turn those things off. They're just a big freaking waste of battery life.
yeah,
So I'm
someone in my
constantly turning those lights off.
Yeah, someone in my YouTube comments had mentioned that the Sony the PS4 controller battery life was junk, and I'm like, is it? For me, they last like 10 hours or so before I have to plug them back in, which is enough for me.
Yeah.
But that might be because I have the light bar turned all the way down. Maybe if you leave it on default, they only last like 5 hours. I was going to put electrical tape over it, but it dims enough where it's not distracting anymore. That's why I
Yeah.
haven't bothered with the electrical tape. You're having an error adding me as a friend. I'm an unfriendly sort, I guess. Sorry. I might have it set up to not accept friend requests. I have no idea. So, because I'm antisocial or something like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
the only
Matthews.
reason yeah, I was just going to say the only reason I have a Steam account is because when the Steam OS launched, they were giving away Steam machines. Like they were doing those random drawings for Steam machines, and I really wanted one, and so I had created an account, did everything in order to qualify, and then I never won. I was very sad. So I
I
went through all of my Humble Bundle games and added them to Steam.
Funny but true story is I actually rented a Steam machine, and then I cleaned my carpet with it and took it back to the grocery store. Ha ha ha! I was thinking about it, I'm like, I could belabor this whole thing, but the joke isn't that funny. That
Yeah.
doesn't always stop me. If you've seen my Get Out video, you know that I will
Yeah,
belabor a joke for 5 minutes before hitting a weak punchline. Speaking of which, I saw Get Out. It's fine.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I saw.
It's fine.
Just the other day, I finally got around to seeing Doctor Strange, and I enjoyed it. It's
Oh
a
yeah.
pretty by the numbers Marvel origin movie, which is kind of sad.
Um,
But
yeah, it's Yeah, it's pretty much Iron Man just with different visuals.
Yeah, but
Although
it was
I loved the end battle, how
yeah,
he uses his mind to defeat the bad guy instead of punching it in the face.
yeah, that was really cool. And it really wasn't. We I can talk about things without spoiling it, but he basically annoyed the bad guy into submission, and
Yeah.
which was I thought that was the absolute best end fight ever.
Bad guy's like, okay, fine, just go away. Please. Yeah, I really like that. I'm like, the
Yeah.
movie could have used more of that because that
Exactly.
was
Yeah,
clever.
because there was a lot of punching in other battles, and it's just like yeah, they used cool magical constructs to punch each other, but it
Hmm.
was still just
It's still punching
punching
each
each
other.
other, and but yeah, they had some really cool visuals. I thought that the ancient one. Now I'm trying to remember the actress's name
Tilda
again.
Swinton.
Yeah, Tilda Swinton. I thought she was a really good fit for the role. I was kind of sad that they didn't have an actual Tibetan guy on there for the Ancient One, but I could understand why they didn't do that because of the whole China thing. China's a big market for Marvel movies, and they didn't want to tick China off by having a Tibetan monk as the Ancient One.
Yeah.
But she still played the role pretty well, and
Well, Tilda Swinton's just awesome. So, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, she's a great actress, and
while the cast wasn't as diverse and chock full of representation as it could have been, um,
mhm,
and that is genuinely a shame. Man, I really loved her performance in that
yeah,
in that movie in
and
that
and
role.
yeah, and Wong was a hilarious
Wong was pretty
character.
funny too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
hope
liked
he gets to
Wong.
do more in future movies.
Oh yeah, yeah. He definitely needs to be back for Doctor Strange 2. I would love he Doctor Strange is going to be in Thor Ragnarok, so it'd be nice if Wong showed up for at least a bit
Yeah.
in there.
Um.
Um,
Oh, what was it? Oh, I was gonna say I saw the trailer for Iron Fist, the new Netflix show. Is it
yeah.
just me or does it look kind of crap?
It is not you. There have been
Okay.
reviews. Journalists have been given access to like the first four episodes, and they say it's the worst Netflix series so far.
Yeah, because there have been
And
two show trailers, I believe, and I saw the first one and went,
yeah,
well, that doesn't
and
look
there's also
good.
been like a 5 minute clip from early in the first episode or something. But yeah, they're saying that this is definitely the weakest entry, and it's so far not very good. It's like the IO9 said that all the other Netflix shows they have a really good first half of the season, and then this really
They
uh,
drag, yeah.
they
All
drag
of all of the
for
Netflix shows, in my opinion, and the opinion of most others, it seems,
yeah, they
are a
drag
couple
for about
episodes too
four
long.
episodes in there, and then they have a really strong closing,
Yeah.
2 or 3 episodes, and IO9 says it looks like hopefully Marvel has just front loaded the dragging crappy episodes and everything else is good,
Maybe,
but
maybe.
but that's what their hope is, but they don't have a lot of confidence in that at this point.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just the way the preview the trailers were edited, but the fighting in them looks genuinely crap. Maybe it was just
Yeah,
rough
yeah.
cuts or something, and they just didn't really
Well,
tighten it up in
that
editing yet.
that
But I
was
was
one of
like,
the
oh,
big
this looks bad.
yeah, that was one of the big complaints was that for a martial arts flick or a show, it's very afraid to be a martial arts show,
Mm.
and it really shows. They say that it really shows in the choreography that they're really afraid to use that and use the strength of martial arts, and which is really sad because. Uh, they talked about how Jessica Jones and Luke Cage their fights were really brutal because they didn't really care about form because they were both super strong and near indestructible. And so it's
And
just like
they're
they
both
just
brawlers too. They're
yeah,
street
they're both
brawlers.
brawlers. They go in, they pound things and get out. Whereas Daredevil, he relied more on martial arts, but his was more one-on-one stuff. Whereas Iron Fist apparently is going to do more of like Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee style fights, where there's like a bunch of guys fighting one hero or two heroes, but they're really afraid to use the strengths of those 70s and 80s martial arts flicks, um, so that they're clearly wanting to take inspiration from. But yeah, I'm really sad about this, and I hope it gets better, but I'm still going to watch it when it
Yeah,
comes out.
I'll order a month of Netflix. I think it's this month sometime. Might be
Yeah,
next
it's going to be
Friday.
coming. I think it's next week. So
Yeah, so as I do with all the Marvel shows, I'll buy a month of Netflix and give it a watch. Did you see the Wonder Woman trailer? It actually premiered,
um,
I think, like 5 minutes before this
yeah, I
podcast did.
actually watched it right before we got on the podcast, and I, I thought their other trailer was the better one. Their
Well,
first trailer,
sure.
I thought
This,
that one
yeah.
was the better
This
one.
this one
This
focused a little
one,
bit more on what the story might be in the relationships. Um,
yeah,
is that a made up accent that they're saddling the Amazons with?
I have no idea. I wonder if they're trying to go for a Mediterranean style
I
accent.
wonder if they're just like everyone try to sound like Gal Gadot, please, because she's just gonna sound like she does. So that's the Amazonian accent now.
Yeah,
It's a little gray looking. It's just. I mean, not everything has to be as bright and colorful as Guardians of the Galaxy, but it looks really washed out.
yeah. Well, Themyscira looked pretty nice. I
Still
thought it
kind of
looked
gray.
well. It looked better than anything else in the Snyderverse,
Well, yeah, that's
um,
damn
but
much.
then when they got into London and World War I, yeah, that's when they
Gray and
turned
brown
on
and
the
blue.
gray filter and everything just really got washed out. But yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know what's the Snyderverse and
Does it did it
WB.
sound to you after watching the trailer? Did it sound to you that they're going to do the whole Diana wasn't made from clay, that she actually has a daddy and it's
Um,
probably going to be Ares or someone?
no, actually, I believe they've confirmed the origin, and IO9 had a story about this earlier in the week, is that she's actually a demigod, daughter of Zeus. So,
So she does have a daddy. So
yeah,
Zeus is her daddy.
yeah,
Oh, the optics of that aren't going to be good.
yeah.
Yeah, the reason Wonder Woman is as powerful as she is because she's the only one of the Amazons with male genes. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know if they're doing that, but that was kind of what I was thinking while I was watching the trailer. I'm like, that's
Yeah, it's
optics,
like
guys.
she's as powerful as she is because she gets it from her dad. It's like
Mhm.
that's a not a very good image to maintain for your strong female characters, that the only reason she is the way she is because a guy made her that way.
Yeah,
That's not something you want to do.
but we'll see what they do with it. Personally, I've always liked the whole Hippolyta, made herself a daughter out of beach sand um, and seaweed.
Yeah. So
It's just such a wonderful mythology. It's more fun when you do it that way. I guess it gets more Games of Thrones if Ares is her dad or if Zeus is her dad, and you have all these weird family dynamics. I get the drama you can try and wring out of those relationships, but I don't know. I always like the daughter of clay
mhm.
approach. I just thought it's a unique origin.
Yeah.
Um, and it gives Wonder Woman a great impetus to find her own place in the world, being that she has no roots, no origin, no thing that she
Yeah.
really grew from, no legacy she has to carry on. She can forge her own path, make her own decisions. I like those things about that particular interpretation of the character. Now, I'm not saying if they don't, you have to do it that way. I'm not saying that if they don't do it that way, it's going to suck. It's probably going to suck because DC and Warner is going to make it suck. Um, but
Yeah.
I certainly hope not. I would really, I guess you could say, well, Andrew, you're biased towards Marvel. You like the Marvel movies. You don't like the DC movies. It's like, yeah, the Marvel movies are good. The DC movies are not. That's why. I don't
Which
like.
is really, it's really sad because there are people on the internet who think sites like IO9 are being paid by Marvel to rag on Warner Brothers DC movies, and it's like, no, seriously, the DC movies just suck that
Yeah,
bad.
I don't like Marvel because Marvel. I like Marvel because the movies are mostly pretty damn good.
Yeah,
And I don't
they're entertaining.
I'm not down on DC just because DC and anti-Marvel or whatever. I'm down on DC because their movies have blown. All of them. I mean, they've got no
Yeah.
good. I can't think of a good DC movie. Well, except yeah,
Well,
there's a lot I like
Batman
about some of the
Begins
early
and
Batman and
Dark
Superman
Knight. Yeah,
movies.
yeah, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Returns, and then you've got Batman with Michael Keaton
The Keaton
and Batman
Batmans
Returns.
have a lot of stuff I
Yeah,
like. The first
yeah,
two Reeves Superman movies have stuff I like.
yeah,
Even there are elements of the Nolan Batman movies that I enjoy. Mainly the first part, the first like two-thirds of Batman Begins, I think is pretty good. Uh,
yeah. The
loses me
ending
in the
of that
back
one was
third though.
yeah,
Dark Knight I think is pretty solid the whole way through.
yeah,
I'm yeah, I've seen Dark Knight once and that was enough. I wasn't like, oh my gosh. I was like, Heath Ledger's Joker or whatever. Anyone could have done that role. I was fine.
yeah,
I
yeah.
hated. I actually hated the soundtrack that they did for that movie. Joker's theme is like this high pitched whine. I'm like, I get what they're trying to do because it's supposed to be off-putting, like the
Mm,
Joker. I get thematically why they went that direction, but it's still annoying. You know,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
always
But the
funny when entertainment is like, we want to make you feel different things. We want you to feel emotions. It's like, yeah, but I don't want to feel annoyed. That's not an emotion you want to make me feel.
yeah,
Kudos for inspiring the correct emotion. That's what you were going for, but I don't like what you were going for. So,
yeah. Yeah, so yeah, they haven't had DC has not done very good in movies at all.
yeah, and that
The
bums me out
Suicide
because
Squad was terrible.
mm,
Of course, Green Lantern was absolutely horrid, and then yeah, Batman v Superman and v Superman, seriously,
although
and Man of Steel.
Fox has been doing okay in some cases. The First Class was pretty good. I did not
Yeah,
see the
First
other two.
Class and um,
Deadpool I thought was a lot of fun, and Logan looks
yeah.
great. So
Yeah, I hear a lot of good things about Logan, and people are talking about how that's probably one of the best X-Men movies out there. Um,
not that
but
high of a
yeah,
bar, but you know,
well, yeah, that isn't that high of a bar. But X2 is probably the best official X-Men title out of
yeah, I haven't
all of
seen
them.
those since they came out, but
Yeah,
I remember X-Men 1 and
I
2 I
don't. Yeah,
thought
I
were
haven't
fun.
watched. Yeah, I don't know how well those have aged because I haven't watched
Yeah,
them in a few
it's
years.
been
But
15 years since I've seen it.
but I do have them. I have the original X-Men trilogy. But yeah,
Uh, Matthew,
apparently DC is kicking.
yeah, I agree with Matthew. DC is better at video games, but sucks at movies, and Marvel's the opposite. Yeah, a lot of the DC video games come out pretty nicely. The Marvel games are
Yeah,
almost
and
all
really,
universally
Injustice is
dog poo.
Yeah, what is it? Injustice is the only one that's coming to mind right now for. Oh, and the Arkham series.
Well, they had
Those
the
are have all
DC
been really
Online
good.
Universe one, which I
Oh
didn't play
yes,
because
yeah.
that's
I
not my
didn't
style,
play
but
that
a
one.
lot of
Yeah,
people really like that one.
had a good game since what was that
Spider-Man
team-based
2,
RPG?
probably.
No, that team-based RPG, Marvel Alliance or something like Ultimate
Oh,
Alliance.
that's going back. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time since they've had a really good Marvel video game.
But their
And you
DC
really
still
can't
has
count Marvel
Superman
versus
64.
Capcom. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, lots of good stuff all around. Hopefully, Marvel comes out with more network television shows. They're working on
Inhumans
Inhumans,
and
and
Runaways.
is Runaway. I'm trying to
That's
think.
Marvel, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know there's. Yeah, I think. Yeah, Runaways. I think is a Marvel thing. And Fox has done Legion. I've been watching that, and that's
Oh,
really good.
yeah.
Yeah, Legion is really good. If you
Although,
guys haven't watched that,
DC seems to be doing fairly nice job with some of its television properties.
yes,
Arrow apparently is
Arrow,
good now.
Flash,
Everyone
Supergirl.
seems to love Flash and Supergirl.
Yeah,
Even Gotham has some fans.
yeah. I watched the first season of Gotham, and I haven't touched it since. I couldn't get into that. Legends of Tomorrow had a really rough and not so great first season, but the
I heard
second
that
season
got
has
fun
been.
after a while, though.
Yeah, well, once they got rid of the Hawk characters and
Oh,
Vandal
both of them?
Savage. Well, yeah, it's like neither one of them are in the show,
Oh.
and but they dropped that dead weight and
Hmm.
have been having a lot of fun with the time travel premise. And then they're going to have Black Lightning. They're working on a Black Lightning show. They have just cast the main characters.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think I heard about that. Yeah.
And then yeah, so Marvel doesn't have as many shows as DC does, but
I'm
all around they've been mostly good.
I tell you one thing. I saw a behind the scenes shot of that. They just started filming Incredibles, Inhumans, and they have a big blue stand-in for I forget the character's name,
uh,
but that teleporting bulldog,
yeah, Lockjaw, I think.
Lockjaw. Um, and I was wondering, are they going to just use a dog? Uh, no, they have like a 6 foot tall blue dog stand-in. So apparently he's going to be a Volkswagen
Yeah, he's going to be
size.
this, CGI creation, which is going to be cool. I'm looking forward to that because people were wondering. It's like, are they actually going to have Lockjaw in this? Because Lockjaw is a very he's a staple of the Inhumans comic
Yeah, I
series,
hope. I mean,
and
that's going to be a tough one to pull off with a TV budget, I would imagine. Hopefully, it doesn't look too terrible. Is Medusa in it? Wait, is that
yeah,
the
yeah,
character with the
yeah,
hair?
Medusa, yeah,
That is
Medusa.
Medusa, right?
Yeah,
I wonder if they're
the
gonna, because I imagine the hair is going to have to be mostly CG assist.
yeah, that's going to have mostly CGI.
It's
But yeah,
my
they've
guess is it is her hair is going to just kind of sit, and then it's just going to, instead of always being big and long and flowing, it's just going to be normal size, a wig on an actor, and then CG tendrils shooting out when need be. That would be my
yeah.
guess with how they do that, which is disappointing, but probably the only way you're going to pull that off on a TV budget.
They might have some mechanical contraptions to make her hair move around her
Yeah.
head, just in normal shots. But yeah, they're going to um, they're going to have to CGI her attacks, like
Yeah.
when she's in battle. It's all going to have to be CGI. But yeah, they could do Lockjaw pretty well. This isn't. They're doing
Like,
it on
wait, when did
ABC.
Rapunzel get into the Marvel universe?
Yeah, they're doing it on ABC, and ABC has a little higher budget than the CW does, but the CW has managed to pull off Grodd, King Shark, and an entire gorilla army all really well. Of
Really?
course, they've done it all at night or in dark sewers
Yeah.
and stuff, so they could cut some corners in it, but they've all looked really nice. in for what they've done with a CW budget.
There's one episode of the Clerks animated series based on the Kevin Smith movie Clerks from the 90s. And this was canceled immediately, mainly because the network said, let's show episode 4, now 2, now cancel it. Yeah, basically the same thing they did with Tremors, the series. They're like, all right, let's start with episode 6, and now episode 4, and now episode 7. Cancel it.
Yeah, I watched the Trimmer series. There's just a little side. It's
really
good,
not
but yeah,
bad at all.
I watched it in the error order, like the order it was aired, and I got really thrown off because they were they were like referencing things that hadn't happened and then doing things after they were already been referenced, and it's just like, what this. I hate it when television studios do that. They did the same thing with Firefly, and then they didn't even show the last episode before they canceled it.
You know, if it's an episodic show like, say, Mission Impossible, I don't know why I'm thinking of really old shows like that, but that's a show you don't need to. There's no chronology. It's occasionally you'll have something that refers back to an older event or an earlier established character, but pretty much you can watch any episode from Mission Impossible and it's self-contained episode. But if it's a show that really requires you to watch it in order, air it in order, for crying out loud. Anyway, my point is one of the, I think, 6 episodes of Clerks takes place in the Quick Stop. But the joke of the show is there's all these amazing things happening right outside, but they never actually go outside to see any of it. It's like Jay keeps running in. It's like, oh my God, there's a parking lot carnival that's set up right outside, and the Ferris wheel is on fire and rolling down the street. I've never seen anything like it. And they're constantly coming in and talking about these amazing things that are happening outside, and you never see any of it. And I thought it was great.
That is a good gag. You can't do that in every episode, but that doing something like that in an episode is, I think that's a fun gag.
Yeah, according to Matthew, season 5 of Samurai Jack starts tonight.
Yes, and unfortunately, I'm going to miss it because I don't have Adult Swim.
Yeah, unless they might air it on they might air it on the Adult Swim site like next week. It's how I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is it's on ABC's site the following week. So
yeah, but yeah, I don't have cable or satellite, so
I'm going to be missing it. Which is really sad. I was joking about how did Rapunzel get into the Avengers or get into the Marvel universe. I was thinking, a lot of the Disney princesses could probably get together and make their own Avengers team. I mean, because you've got kind of like a Hawkeye character with what's her name? Merida. You've got Rapunzel with her long hair that she uses to lasso things. You've got Elsa with her ice powers. I'm sure I could think of a few more.
Mulan with her tactical knowledge, and
she's got a dragon, a small dragon, but she's got Moana. She's got water. She's a water bender. I mean, that's weird that you've got an ice power and a water power. They don't have Disney princess. It's like I have gas power.
And then you've got various princesses that have the ability to commune with nature and convince animals to do their will. So like Snow White and Cinderella.
But yeah. GFY says, what do I think about Archer? I love Archer, and if I pan the camera over that way a bit, you'd see all the DVD sets. Yeah, I really enjoy that show. Scotty, that sounds like a robot chicken skit. It probably should be if it's not. The Disney Princess Adventures, rather the Disney Princess Avengers.
Yeah.
That could be.
I've seen various.
That could work.
I've seen various deviant art sketches where they've done things like that.
Someone has to have done that.
Yeah.
That can't be a new idea. That's too. So obvious I didn't actually think of it until now, but I'm surprised I did.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, so We've been just kind of blabbering on for the last 40 minutes, as we're prone to do on this show. So I guess we should wrap it up and leave. Let you fine folks eat dinner or go to sleep. um,
Whatever it
Matthew,
is.
by
Time.
the way, thanks for recommending, what's it called? Tanya Saga, the Saga of Tanya the Evil, which I watched um, at some whatever episodes were available, like 7 episodes or something like that. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably saw me bitching about the fact that there's a recap episode after episode 6 in that show. I was like, really, show? Really? A recap episode on episode 6? But
At least they're not doing a clip show at episode 6.
yeah, correct. It's not a clip show. It's I just kind of scanned through it to see if they were doing anything interesting. It's like, no, the protagonist is like, how did I get here? It all started when I was pushed off of a subway platform, and then God froze time, and then it goes. I'm like, oh God, we're doing a recap episode, aren't we? Yeah, they're just gonna recap the whole thing. In case you missed the last 6 episodes, it's still not as bad as Karakano. Why I don't know why his and her circumstances. That's probably the most egregious example of recappage, because every episode starts with a recap of the previous episode, except the first one, obviously. So you get to episode 2 and it recaps what happened in episode 1. You get to episode 3 and it recaps episodes 1 and 2. Well, by the time you get up to like episodes 5 and 6, it's recapping 5 episodes before. The recap starts ballooning, and the recap ends up being like 4 or 5, 6 minutes long. And then they get to the halfway point of the series, like episode 12 or so, and that's when they do the full recap episode, which takes an episode and a half. It's not contained to just one episode. It's an episode and a half.
That's crazy.
And then the manga wasn't done, and they had no idea where to go with the show, and it sucked. The back half of the anime is terrible because the manga wasn't done yet. But the first half, if you ignore all the recaps, is pretty good. Dave says the Robot Chicken did the best Star Wars parodies ever. I agree. I have those too. I have all the Robot Chicken stuff. Anyway, so I talked about this on Twitter, but Tanya the Evil, basically, weird show. It's problematic in a few areas, but it does a lot that I like. Basically, Tanya is a reincarnation of a dude from Earth who died, and right before he died, a all-powerful being that identifies itself as God says, "Hey, before you're smeared to paste by a subway train, how come you ain't worshiping me?" And the guy's like, "'Cause whatever." And he's like, "Well, you believe in God right now, right? Because, I'm doing the whole time stoppy thing before the subway car pastes you." And the guy's like, "Nah, not really." It's like, what? Really? Well, I'm going to reincarnate you on another planet in another timeline kind of thing. And you'll worship me. Guy's like, "Sure." And so he gets pasted by a subway and is reincarnated as Tanya. Tanya whatever her last name is. And she joins the military because that's the easiest career path. And so she's 9 or 10 years old because why not? And she fights in the military, but she's also a magic user. And there's like the magic brigade, and they fly around on like mechanical magic boots. They've got like one Iron Man boot that helps them fly around, and so they are the air support. And so she's going through the whole career advancement, and then being X, as she calls, is like, "You're still not worshiping me." He's like, "Okay, so I'm going to your magic jewel that powers your magic gun. You can't use it unless you praise my name." So now, in order to use her gun, which she has to use because she's in the middle of a war, she has to go, "Oh, Heavenly Father, hallowed be thy name," type of stuff. And the God being X is like, "Haha," and she's like, she's like, I'll say it, but I don't believe it. And being X is like, "Well, poo." And so Being X is trying to like orchestrate an entire world war against her, just I guess to try and make her legitimately pray to it if it is God. It's a weird show. It's interesting. The aerial that concept is fun, and the
Yeah.
aerial battles that they do in the show is really really visually a lot of fun to watch. Um, some of the art uh, design I don't quite cotton to. Some of the characterization isn't consistent and doesn't quite work. I've got some issues here and there, but overall, it's I watched 7 episodes in a week, so it can't be that bad, right? So, thanks for recommending that one to me. It's an interesting show. I'll probably uh, just give it a few more weeks for more episodes to come out and to see how it
Yeah.
plays out from there. But anyway, so that is that. Let us sign off. Andrew Eisen here. Eisen is how you spell the last name. Plug it into YouTube. Find my YouTube videos. Working on a new video, which this is one of those that takes some research. Thought it would be fun to back when the Switch was revealed, Nintendo posted, look at all the third parties we're working with. Whee! I thought it'd be fun to take a look at that original list and see what's come of it since and what's been announced.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that takes a lot of time and research for a video that's probably going to get 400 views. But, it's fun. So, briefly, Laxter, I like the Iron Man movies. The Even 2 I thought was okay. Spent a little bit too much time spinning its wheels with world building stuff, but there's some good stuff in 2.
Yeah.
I think 3 is one of the stupidest movies I've ever seen. But like Jurassic World, which I also think is an incredibly stupid movie, I do enjoy it. I think Iron Man 3 is actually a better movie than Jurassic World, but Jurassic World has dinosaurs in it, and that goes a long way
Yeah.
with me. So,
Yeah.
um,
Iron Man 3 made a lot of stupid decisions, but
there is stuff in that movie I'm like, what? No. And I like the Mandarin in that movie. I really like the
yeah, the
twist.
Mandarin was not one of the
I
dumbest
love that. That was not a problem for me. But just
one of the
yeah.
one of the dumbest decisions ever was making Pepper Potts get rid of her superpowers. I thought, she had superpowers. Let her keep them. She was a more competent superhero than Iron Man.
It's like Pepper's on the Avengers. Tony, you sit down. You just you keep making Ultron or something. Actually, someone needs to keep an eye on you.
Yeah, well, that was how it should have ended. The YouTube series that was their how Iron Man 3 should have ended, was with Pepper Potts joining the Avengers.
Yeah, yeah. Dave's saying, remember that Nintendo hyped third-party support. The reality, though, yeah, they initially showed a slide of, I think, now I'm running this off the top of my head. I'll have these numbers later. But I think it was like 48 companies on this slide. But and you're like, wow, man, it was only like 20 when they did the same thing at a investors meeting for the Wii U. They had a slide of like 20, and now they've got a slide of nearly 50. That's amazing. But if you actually look at the slide, the entire bottom 2 rows are middleware companies that make engines and the codecs and stuff like that.
Yeah, things like,
so there's really only like 35 game companies on the list, and if you count up the number of games that we know about, it's, I think, 41. Not terrible, but also most of them are not exclusive. I think Super Bomberman R is the only true exclusive. There's an Othello game that might actually be exclusive too. I'm not sure yet. Hard to tell because it's Othello.
Yeah.
And most of those games have been out for years. I mean, 505 Games is on the list, so some of the games are like Terraria, which has been out on everything since like 2011.
Something like that. Yeah.
So there are, while it's nice to see, there are a lot of interesting caveats. when taking a look at that slide and examining what it means at this point right now. And keep in mind that we know some other companies that aren't on that slide and some other things that are coming. But
Yeah.
it's hard to. It's going to be a hard one to organize, but I think it might be an interesting video. Anyway, that's what I'm working on. You can also follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen. Zachary, plug away.
All right. You can follow me on Twitter at Easy Night. You can also follow my game development work at DK_gaming on Twitter and StabbyNightGaming.com. I am working on some games, but I'm also I got inspired to work on a website right now, and that's what I've been doing this week. It's basically a one screen game site where a game developer can just go and plug in their information into an XML file, upload that and their images and the main PHP script, and boom, they have a website in half an hour. I got inspired by an article I read on Gamma Sutra about making websites, and I was like, yeah, that might be kind of fun to make something and share that with the indie game development community. So that's what I'm working on right now. And also, if you're interested in checking out the Oklahoma game development scene, check out OK Game Devs on Twitter and okgamedev.com. So there you go.
Telltale Games was on that list. You're like, ooh, are we getting Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, the Batman thing, the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy?
We don't know.
Minecraft. We're getting the Minecraft thing.
The Minecraft story mode,
yeah. I mean, that's nice, and it's not to say we're not getting Guardians of the Galaxy or anything else, but it hasn't been announced.
Yeah.
Take-Two's on that list. Nothing's been announced.
Yeah, it's like what is Take-Two going to do? They're going to release what, GTA 3 or Vice City on it?
Yeah. And what's interesting is there are
they might do Manhunt or Bully on there, but
yeah, there's what's the one that I'm thinking of? There's it's Frozen Byte, I think. Is it Has Been Heroes? Let me look real quick.
Yeah.
Right. So Game Trust and Frozen Byte are both on the list, right? But they're the publisher and developer of Has Been Heroes, and it's the only game between them that's actually announced so far. So Nintendo, for one game, has two different companies on that slide, and they do that a couple of times.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting analysis, I think. Yeah.
Oh wait, no, Take-Two's on there. Didn't they announce NBA 2K as one of the games coming out this year?
That's 2K though. That's not Take-Two.
Oh, okay.
And 2K was actually not on the list. But that is an example of a third-party company that we know of that is working with Nintendo and is bringing a game that isn't on the list. So there are more besides this, but I just thought it'd be interesting to go back to the original third-party bragging infographic and just take a look and see what has come of that in the last few months. And Frozen Byte is trying, right?
Yeah.
Trying, for what it's worth, as far as I know, has not been announced for Switch.
No, it hasn't. It was released on the Wii U though, wasn't it?
But Codemasters is on that infographic. They haven't announced anything. From Software, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, they're on the list. They haven't announced anything. Level 5 have nothing. Nothing from Platinum Games, nothing from Starbreeze or Spike Chunsoft, nothing from Take-Two, nothing from THQ Nordic. Traveler's Tale, TT Games is on there. The only game we know from them is Lego Worlds, which is published by Warner Brothers Interactive, which is also a company on that list. So, same thing with Tokyo RPG Factory. The one they're responsible for is I Am Setsuna, which is published by Square Enix, which is also on the list. So there was a little bit of fudging there, which is interesting to see. But I'll be working on that video over the next week or so. THQ Nordic, that means Darksiders. might. Nothing's been announced, but who knows? Yeah, but I mean, it's not like I'm saying Platinum. Oh, they'll never release it. No, I'm sure we will see something from Platinum. Maybe Bayonetta 3, maybe something original. Who knows? But we don't know yet. The Grasshopper is on there, and we know Suda51 is working on something that probably has Travis Touchdown in it. So anyway, okay, that's enough out of us. So we are out of here. Thank you everyone for watching the show, and we'll see you back here next week. Take care. Bye.
All right. See ya.